Okay, good morning, all of you. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for participating in this webinar on practical aspects of tendering in Serbia in the framework of the P2 Greenness project. This webinar will be conducted by Mr. Stevan Radunovic, President of the Serbian Association of Public Procurement Experts in Serbia. In addition, you will have the opportunity to listen to Mr. Andreja Todoyevsky, Director of Southeast Europe of the Spanish company Eptisa, one of the most successful European companies in Serbia in the fields of interest of the project. As most of you know, as most of you have already participated in one of the 5 webinars we have done before, I'm going to make a very brief presentation of the project. Okay. So as you know, the main objective of the P2 Greenness project is to support innovative European SMEs to participate in circular public procurement in non-European Eastern countries, with a special focus now on Serbia and Moldova. The project partners are the French EA Eco-Entreprises cluster, which are also the project coordinators, the Romanian Green Energy cluster, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Moldova, and finally us, the Asturian Federation of Entrepreneurs from Spain. Among the tasks we have carried out in the framework of the project are market screening, the SWOT analysis, the SMEs training and networking where the webinars take place, or the eWatch tool available in our website, and where I encourage you to register if you want to receive alerts when we publish tenders of interest. In addition, we plan to carry out international trade missions to the targeted countries. And for this reason, I went on an exploratory mission to Serbia earlier this month, where I could see firsthand the opportunities that exist in this market for European SMEs, mainly thanks to our know-how in areas such as decarbonization and sustainability, which are applicable to the sectors covered by this project. We will also be able to provide the participant companies with a help desk to support them with the tenders that are of your interest. Okay. So this is the last webinar of the series of 6 we have been running since the beginning of this year. You have all the recordings available in our project website. And for my part, I want to say that it has been a pleasure to coordinate the realization of these webinars, and I want to thank you all for your participation in them. And finally, I want to encourage you all to register in the B2Match platform of the project, where more and more entities are registered and through which you can hold meetings with companies that are of interest to you. In addition, if you are looking for potential partners in Spain, Romania, France, or Moldova, please do not hesitate to contact us. And now I want to give the floor to Mr. Stevan Radunovic. Stevan, the floor is yours.
Hello, hi to everyone. Just to find presentation. Here it is. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, let's start. Well, last week we had the presentation about some formal aspects and some rules of the procedures when we are talking about public procurement. Institutional legal framework rules, etc. Today we will have more practical approach with some practical advice. What should you or can you do as a foreign company in market of the public procurement in Serbia? And what can be some visible, invisible, or legal obstacles to participate in public procurements in Serbia? So we will start with that, with procurement challenges for foreign bidders. There can be some challenges, especially if you are new on the market and do not know it very well. First 2 or 3 slides will be same as in last presentation, because it's also very important for this story, just because, but we will go in some other direction than when compared with presentation from the last week. So let's repeat some numbers. Value of public procurements in Serbia. When we are talking in euros, public procurements in Serbia were 5.6 billion euros, or 9.3% of our GDP. It's 6 billion of US dollars. It is not small amount of the money. But it's not the end. If we add to that the money from the procurements which were not public procurements, which were exception from the procedure, but they are procurements which are implemented by contracting authorities, then we are talking about 10 or 11 billions of the euros. And those exceptions can be of interest for this project and for our targeted areas, because most of the money of those exceptions are the money for the energy, from the energy sector. So it's a lot of money. 5.6 billion euros or 10 or 11, or when we combine all the procurements, 10 or 11 billion of euros. 255,000 of the public procurements contracts in 2022. So it means that average contract value is not so big. It is about 22,000 of the euros. And on the public procurement portal, you will find that there are about above 5,000 of the active contracting authorities. In reality, there is more contracting authorities, but not all of them are such big that they have public procurements which are above the threshold which is in the law. So there was active about 5,500 contracting authorities in the last year. Level of the competition is pretty disappointing, but it can be opportunity and a chance for the small and medium enterprises from the European Union. There is average number of the bids per public procurement procedure, which is 2.5. In reality, I think when we clean that number from some statistical methods, I believe that it is 2 is much more realistic than 2.5. And you can see that in about the 50% of the public procurement procedures are with just one bid. When you have one bid, you do not have competition. When do you not have competition, there cannot be good and desired consequences which state authorities and contracting authorities wants to have from the public procurement procedures. So the level of the competition is not so bright and good. In the reality, it is two bids per procedure, and 50+% of the procedures are with just one bid. And on this right part of the slide, you can see that participation, share of the participation of the utility and regular sector in public procurements. Utility sector is, I think, of the great importance for the targeted areas of this project. And you can see that share of the utility sector is pretty big, 28%, and those are local communal companies in the water supply, wastewater, landfills, etc. are hidden there. Although you can find opportunities and procurements in targeted areas also in this blue part in regular public procurements. So 10 or 11 billion of euros value of the procurements in Serbia. And when we are talking about formal procedures, we can see that absolute prevailing is of the open procedure in the public procurements. Almost 99% of contracts in Serbia are concluded in open procedure of the public procurement procedures, and almost 98% of contracts value in 2022 was concluded in open procedure of public procurements procedures. Why is that important? Open procedure is most open, it's basic procedure. It is when we think about public procurements, transparency, publishing of everything, that everything is instant available. It is the open procedure. It is the public procurement. In the head of the most of the people, public procurement is equal to open procedure. That is the most open, most transparent, and most available procedure. Every company from the planet, not from the Serbia, every company from the planet has right to participate in open procedure of the public procurement procedure, and it is, and that is very important to say and to reiterate, it is in equal position as domestic company. In equal position when we are talking about public procurement rules. There are some other rules and there are some other laws, but when we are talking about public procurement rules and open procedure, company from every part of the planet, and that means small and medium enterprises from the European Union, are in the same position as the domestic companies from the Serbia. So it means that public procurement law in Serbia and public procurement system, where the biggest part of the system is based on the open procedure, is foreign-friendly law. But foreign-friendly law, open procedure, every company from the planet can participate on the equal basis. 10 or 11 billions of the euros, or let's say just 6 billions of the euros of the public procurements in Serbia, you would think that competition would be so high that the foreign companies will be so interested to participate in the market of the public procurements in the Serbia that everything would be great. But in reality, oh my God, do you see this guy on the bottom of this slide? 1%. There is only 1% of the contracts in the Serbia in the public procurement which are concluded with the foreign bidders. 1% for the 6 billion euros of the money. It is a big money for us. Just 1% in the procedure which is most open, most transparent, most available, and which puts foreign companies in the same position as domestic companies. It's pretty disappointing result. And that 1%, I mean, is almost if not 100%, then 99% of those 1% are the European companies. You should say that, but does this mean 1% that European companies or foreign companies are not here? We should think about some other thing. We should keep this one in mind. Foreign companies are here, and they were always here. But usually, they are here as domestic companies. If they're interested in Serbian markets for mid-term or long-term business, they will be here as domestic company. What that means? Foreign companies can establish, and are doing that, will establish their own company in Serbia, which be owned by them. So foreign company has its own domestic Serbian company in Serbia. Or local company or a foreign company can find partners in Serbia, which will work under umbrella of the foreign company as the part of their broader and wider business system, like licensed partners, OEMs, franchising, etc. There can be different forms of that partnership. So foreign companies are in Serbia. They have their own companies in Serbia. For example, Eptisa, which has headquarters in Spain, has company Eptisa Serbia. And Eptisa Serbia, in formal and legal way, is Serbian domestic company. Or they can find, as I said, some local company which will be in partnership position and will work under the umbrella. And in formal and statistical way, those foreign companies will be domestic companies. So it is not in reality 1%. It is much more. Foreign companies, to be honest, are dominating on our markets. There can be no any word that the power of the Serbian company and Serbian economy is so strong and so resilient that foreign and European companies cannot enter there and we lose and will lose on market positions. That is not true, of course. Of course, local companies also has very easy possibility just to register as a local branch of the foreign company in Serbia and to work in that way, but that is a different story, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Regardless of that and that explanation, the number of foreign bidders is very small. The idea of European value as European rules, European common market is something which is, and we are forwarding, we want to be the part of the European Union. We are in the process, as a candidate, we are in the process of the integration. All the European rules, and not just European, WTO, World Trade Organization, etc., something completely different that to put foreign companies and domestic companies in the same position and that you have a market with increased level of competition so you can get better output. In my experience of public procurements, procedures and contracts, and it is, believe me, great experience, I made a conclusion that there are some invisible obstacles for the participations of the foreign companies. And now I'm talking about clear foreign companies, not the companies, domestic companies which are owned by the foreign companies. And I'm not talking now about local company in Serbia which is partner of the foreign company. Now I'm talking about pure foreign companies which have headquarters somewhere abroad and do not have any representation in Serbia. I made a conclusion that there are some invisible obstacles. Those obstacles can be on the side of the bidder. Those invisible obstacles can be on the side of the procurement authority, contracting authority. And there can be some very great obstacles in meaning of some other laws and some other requirements and conditions which you have to fulfill if you want to perform activity in some areas. and so, as these targeted areas are. So the problems can be not in the public procurement law, but the problem and the obstacles, legal obstacles, can be in some other laws. So what can be invisible obstacles on the bidder side? Business freedom to participate in public procurement in Serbia. And what do I mean when I'm saying this? Big number of the small and medium enterprises in Serbia, they can work in two ways. They're 100% owners of their destiny. They have their own product, their own services with their own brand name, or they can be partners and parts of the bigger business network. They can work under the umbrella of the bigger company. So, for example, if you are Eptisa from Romania, I don't know, maybe Eptisa there is also in Romania, and there is Eptisa headquartered in Spain, and there is Eptisa in Serbia, or let's say Schneider Electric. It doesn't have to be Eptisa. You have Schneider Electric and the headquarters of the Schneider Electric, and Schneider Electric or Eptisa, Schneider Electric Romania or Eptisa Romania wants to participate in public procurements in Serbia. There is some big tender, let's say, but there is in Serbia also Eptisa Serbia or Schneider Electric Serbia. On some of the dozens of the partner of the Schneider Electric has dozens of the partners in Serbia. So will the Schneider Electric company from Romania, will it have freedom from the headquarter of the Schneider Electric or for the headquarter for the Southeastern Europe? Will it have freedom to participate in public procurements in Serbia and to make competition inside the network and to decrease the price? It is not so smart if you are working in the headquarter of the, if you are understanding what I'm trying to say. So sometimes if the small and medium enterprises are the part of the broader, wider business network, there can be issue, does that European small or medium enterprise, which is the part of the bigger community, bigger business community, has freedom to participate in public procurements in Serbia if, and there can be such situation, there is also partnership company in the Serbia, which is dealing with that market. Then, lack of the knowledge and experience of the market and legal system. Lack of the knowledge is always bad. It is the dark. And when you do not know something, you do not know some important things. You do not know the opportunities. If you do not know nothing about Serbian market, about Serbian companies, Serbian public procurement, if you do not know nothing about strategies of the Serbian state in those areas which are targets of this project, you will do not know what are the opportunities and where the money is hidden, and there is a great amount of the money in these areas. Also, if you do not know legal system, you can make big legal formal mistakes, and as the consequence of that, there can be some risks which can be additional burden to your business. Obstacles as a language and the business culture. Then if you're first timer in our market, there can be very increased costs in Serbian foreign market. If you do not have any infrastructure on the ground in Serbian market, you do not have any partner, you do not have one man or woman in Serbia who will deal with some problems there. Zero the infrastructure. Then you have some new increased cost which you didn't have yesterday. Connected with that, there are some new increased risks, and all of which of that is pretty easier to bear, new costs and new risk if you are a large business, if you're Schneider Electric, or if you are Alstom, or if you are Eptisa. But if you are small and medium enterprise with pretty, and that means limited resources, those increased costs or increased risks, which you do not know and you cannot foresee very well because you have lack of the knowledge or lack of the business culture of that part, can be issue and burden for you. Of course, there are some invisible obstacles on the side of the contracting authorities. Contracting authorities, when we are, let's say I'm contracting authority, when I'm making tender documentation and the rules in the tender documentation, rules which are put in the tender documentation are like a small law. I do not have in the mind foreign companies and small and medium enterprises from European Union or from Brazil or from whenever they are. Why? Just 1%. Just 1% of you as formally foreign companies, pure foreign companies are here. And I'm not, when I'm modeling tender documentation, I'm thinking about 99% of the chances and 99% of the situations. I will not think about 1%. Because that 1%, if I want to model tender documents to be fair and to be good for the foreign companies, then I must change dozens of the rules in my tender documentation about currency, about deadlines. I must change numerous of the rules in the model of the future contract, etc. I must make my tender documents to be much more complex in if I want to shape it to be good for the foreign company and to complicate my own life just for the 1% of the chances. So there is just 1% of the bidders, and I do not like to complicate myself everyday life. It is complicated already. So then in the past there were issues which are raised by domestic company, and there were appeals about that, about inequality with domestic bidders as a risk, which can be domestic companies like to say, oh, we are not then in equal position. You will pay him his euro and you will pay me Serbian dinar, so I have the currency risks. He doesn't have a currency risks, etc. Then contracting authorities doesn't like some additional risks, which can be there in the contract, in implementing of the contract and public procurement procedure, if we are dealing with a foreign company as the other side on the as a contracting partner. Currency costs. If I need to pay you, I will pay you in euros. If you're a foreign company, pure foreign company, which doesn't have even the local branch in the Serbia, I need to pay you in euros. Euro is not free of charge. I have to buy euro. I have to pay the money to buy the money to pay you the euros. So I have additional costs to buy the euros. And if the contract is tens or hundreds of millions of the euros, or I don't know, billions, those costs are not small costs. There can be some additional costs raised as shipping costs, freight forwarding costs. If some part of the contract must be done abroad, and some facilities at the foreign company in different country, we can have some shipping costs, freight forwarding issues, and what can be very annoying. Complex and time-consuming procedures for the custom procedure. We do not have issues with the custom procedures when we are dealing with the domestic companies. In one big contract which I had last year, we had more than 30 days delays of the implementation and finishing very important contract, because one part of the facility we needed to export to one foreign country because it had to be repaired at facility, at the production facility in that foreign country. So there were shipping costs, freight forwarding costs, and then custom procedure. Because of that custom, and one wrong paper and number in paper which was needed in custom procedure, we had delay than more than 30 days. So our ending of the contract and starting of the production was delayed for the 30 days just because of the custom procedure. That is not the risk which I have when I'm dealing with the custom companies. You in the Europe probably forgot about that problems with the customs, but we which are not in the Europe still can have that nightmares with those kinds of the procedures. There is a great risk of different legal system and a more complex disputes. For example, if I have, as I had in my experience, that part of some of my tools and equipment and production facilities, I have to transport to another country to do some maintenance or refabricate them there. Then my equipment, part of my facility, is another country in the different legal system, and that can be connected with some greater risks for me. Language and everyday communication, believe me, all of us try to speak English and understand it, but in a business and the legal meaning of the communication, language and everyday communication and the solution of the everyday small technical problems can be a nightmare from the contracting authorities, especially when we or they do not have capacity for complex contracts. 90% of the contracting authorities in Serbia are small contracting authorities. You know, just few dozen of contracting authorities are big enough that have capacity and knowledge and workforce to deal with complex agreements which are with foreign element and foreign companies at the other side of the contracts. I hope that this is clear about these invisible. And these invisible obstacles are not legal obstacles. It's not legal. Nobody can say me, for example, I must pay something in euros. I can say I will pay dinars, and I will pay only dinars, and that is Serbian currency, and that is not discrimination. But that wouldn't be a good solution for the foreign company, and a foreign company who is researching on the public procurement portal and see, oh, they're paying only in dinars. I'm not interested in this, you know. And this is not discrimination. This is not a legal issue. But there can be some important legal requirements and legal issues. Oh, I must be faster. All right. Remember this from the last week. There can be some criteria. There will be some criteria for the qualitative selection of the bidders. And among those criteria, conditions to participate in the public procurement procedures, there can be conditions which are connected with fulfillment of the conditions for performing professional activities. And among them, most important are different permits, licenses, and certifications, which are given from the Serbian authorities, if you want to perform some activities in some areas, and this is very relevant for these targeted areas. So if we are talking about water supply, wastewater management, waste management, landfills, renewable energies, there are numerous set of the license and the permits, because those are very important utility sectors for the quality of the life of every citizen, and the impact quality of the works in those fields are very important. You need to have set of the papers just in order to perform activities in these areas. So permits. You cannot do, it is important to emphasize this, you cannot do substantial business in these areas, all targeted areas, if you do not have permits and licenses. If you just want to sell some equipment, you know, I will just sell equipment, not perform I will not build, or I will not operate anything. If you want just to sell equipment, for example, or if you just want to do some consultancy job, I will advise you, I will tell you and give you my know-how, you know, just consultancy, then you will not, this is not the performing of the activity. In those easy cases, there is no requirements that you need to have permits and certifications to do the business. But if you want to do substantial business, and by that I mean to perform activities to transport waste, or to treat the wastewater. If you want to do substantial job, you need to have those permits. And what is very important, because we are not in the EU, the relevant are permits, certificates, license, which are issued from the Serbian authorities. So if you want to perform substantial activities in these targeted areas, in most of the cases, you will need to have some of the permits. And not just those targeted areas, there is also a very complex issue of the permits and certifications in the field of planning and the field of the construction works. Why is that important? Because planning, making of the technical documentation and construction works are also can be done in those targeted areas which are of interest in this project. For example, if you want to build some wastewater treatment facility, or if you want to build some landfill or landfill construction facility, then there is a raised issue of doing a technical documentation, proper technical documentation, and proper construction works. And because of that, very relevant can be also permits in the field of the planning and construction works. And those are must have. And this is bolded here in blue color, dark blue color. It is must have in Serbia. Those permits and those licenses usually, in almost all cases, will be part of the qualification criteria in the public procurement procedure. So it can be raised as a legal necessity and legal condition for you to participate in procedure. And as I said, it is not the problem of the public procurement itself. Those are problems and conditions which are raised and caused in some other laws and rules. So in the law on the waste management, you can see there is a permit for the waste collection. Then there is a permit for waste transportation. There is a permit for waste storage, and there is the permit for the waste treatment. In every phase of the substantial work, when we are talking about waste management, you need to have a permit to perform activity. As I said, if you want just to sell some equipment, I don't know which equipment can be relevant here. If you want just to sell, okay, I will sell it and I'm going to another country. Or just to advise, to say, okay, it would be good to do this on this way or this way, then you do not need to have permits. But if you want to collect the waste, you need a permit. If you want to transport the waste, you need to have a permit. If you want to storage the waste on some landfill, you need to have a permit. If you want to treat it somehow, you will need to have permits for doing that. And of course, there are additional similar permits in this waste management field, which are connected with cross-border movements. Maybe it can be relevant for you because for you as a SME from the Europe, like permits for export of waste, permits of import of waste, waste transit permits, etc. And it's in this area there is 10 years validity for these permits. Similar of the permits in the law on the water, there is a dozen of the permits, but these first two are of the interest for these projects. Supply of drinking water through the public water supply system, or collection, removal, and purification of the wastewater through the public sewage system. Those are the targeted areas of this project. So these add up to the end, I think, will be not of your interest, so I will not spend any time on that, but they're here on the slide if they can be useful on any way for you. So as again, if you just want to sell some equipment, I will say this equipment for the water, or to do some consultancy, to advise, you do not need you do not need any permits of certification. But if you want to do substantial work on supply of drinking water or collection, removal, and purification of the water, you need to have those permits and certification in order to do substantial work in those fields. So it means, what is your interest? To do substantial work, or just to sell some equipment, advice, etc.? You need to know what is your goal here. Low and energy, and this is a very important slide. So there is in low and energy dozens and dozens licenses about energy. These on this slide are just a few of them, which I think are important for you in these targeted areas. So if you want to do business in the field of production of the electricity, you need energy permit. Or combined production of the electricity and thermal power, you need special permit which is issued from the state authority. So production of electricity or combined production, nevertheless, what is the source of the energy? It could be coal, or it could be renewables. But if you are in the production of the electricity, you need permit. Then transportation of biofuels. If you want to do substantial job in the field of the transportation of the biofuels, you need permit. If you want to do the storage of the biofuels, you need special energy permit for doing that. Trade of the biofuels, bioliquids, etc., you need permit. Production of the heat energy, regardless what is the source of your heat energy, is it coal or is it biomass, you need to have permits. Biofuel production, bioliquid production, targeted areas of this project. If you want to do that in Serbia, you need to have energy license. But very important for this slide, and that is what is pretty different from previous permits, which we can say are foreign friendly in the way that you can get those permits. For example, all those permits, when we are talking about the constructions, etc., foreign friendly, foreign company can get those permits and license. In the field of the energy, we are not talking about foreign friendly law. Domestic companies can get all the permits, but foreign company only for wholesale supply of electricity, big trades of the electricity. So if you're doing some job and business, in Serbia, when do you need some of these energy licenses, you're obliged to have some local partner in Serbia, because local partner and the company in Serbia is in a position to have and to obtain those licenses. You, as a pure foreign company, when we are talking about licenses in the field of the energy, will not be in position to get all those licenses that you will need in those areas which are of the interest if you want license for the biofuel production and you are foreign companies, you do not have your own company in Serbia, or you do not have local partner in Serbia, you cannot obtain license. You will need to make your own company in Serbia, or to find local partner in Serbia, or the best advice for the short term, to make consortium with the company in Serbia which have those licenses. Permits about the planning and the construction. Oh, Andrea is here, excellent. Permits, as I said, can be very also important in the field of the planning, making technical documentation and construction works. As I explained and said, if you want to build facility, landfill facility, or clean water facility for treatment from the ground, to make a building from the ground, or you also need to respect the rules about the planning and the construction. Those are so-called big licenses. And there are several so-called big licenses about planning and construction works, which are related to our targeted areas. So if you want to make technical project documentations or construction works for the facilities for the production of biofuels and bioliquids in facilities with a capacity over 100 tons per year, etc., there are always some additional conditions. You will need to have separate big license or licenses for the in order to prepare technical project documentation or do some construction works. And be aware that when we are talking about those big licenses, and you need to have, for example, big license to build facility in the production for the production of the biofuels and bioliquids, we are not talking about just one permit. They are divided. For the electrical part of the works, there is electrical permit. For the construction buildings of the works, there is separate permit for the construction building works. For the machining part of the or automatization or digitalization, every part of the work has a different permit, and this can be very complicated issue on the ground to understand and to solve. And because of these rules, very challenging to make a consortia of the companies which have all those permits that you need, all those big licenses that you need in order or to prepare the technical documentation or to do construction works from the beginning to the end. For then, if you want to make documentation of the build facility, which is thermal power plant with a power over 10 megawatts, you need also big licenses in this field. It is not because of the low on energy. This is because of the low of the planning and the construction. Interregional and regional water supply facilities, sewage facilities, drinking water preparation facilities with capacity about 200 liters per second, wastewater treatment facilities. So these are all targeted areas. Plants for the treatment of non-hazardous wastes, plants for the treatment of the hazardous wastes, regional landfills or landfills for the areas where are more than 200,000 inhabitants. You will need to have also big licenses. So not just the licenses from the waste management field, but also there can be relevant different type of the permits from the law on the planning and construction. I hope that you understand me what I'm trying to say. Some practical advices because of this, and after that I will 10 minutes, excellent. And after that I will leave floor to Andrea to tell us about his excellent experience of the Spanish foreign company in Serbia and some opportunities which foreign companies can find here. What to do as a foreign bidder? First, you remember the story from the last week. Register on the public procurement portal. Very easy steps, like you are registering on some social network building, because it will provide you with opportunities to research the market, to see necessary opportunities and the amounts of the money as a base for you to make some necessary business decision about these areas. Just please register. Public procurement portal has also button for translation, so you can see everything in English. Not everything. Documents, as I said, are still in Serbian, but you can use Google Translate or some other tools to for easy translation. But the portal itself can be in English, and so you will use it with you will use it very easy. Believe me. You will use it as a user who wants to read and to find information. If you want to make a bid and implement the rules of the procedure, it is a pretty complicated stuff. Then you will need some experts in those fields to do the job properly. Do you remember those big 10s from the last week? 10 biggest companies, which are 40% of the all public procurements value in the Serbia. First three are almost I think 28% of the value, first for 33% of the whole value of the public procurements in Serbia. Research them, download their annual public procurements plans, research them. They're also very important. The biggest money is there. And they're also very important for your targeted areas. Electric distribution of Serbia, electric network of Serbia, very important. They are the biggest producers of the waste, for example, and they're the biggest consumers of the goods. They're just, to make it short, they're very important for you. Download their annual public procurement plans. They're usually in Excel sheets, as you can see on this slide. Cross them and find your opportunities and make necessary business plans and business opportunities for you in Serbia. And what is very important, public procurement plan, as I said, will offer you an opportunity to track everything very easy and to be updated about the news in those public procurements in which you are interested in automatic way. You will not be in position to every day look on the portal. You will be, if you just check it, you will be get emailed about every new step in that public procurement. So just register in order to research it and to get right information for your business decisions. As I said, decide what is your goal. Just sell equipment or a consultancy. Are you in Serbia in short term or long term? If you are in substantial business, you need permits, and that means that you are here on the long term, and that means that you will make your own company in Serbia, which will be then Serbian domestic company, which then can obtain all the necessary papers and the permits. Don't play every ball. I suppose that all of you from Spain also watched Roland Garros semifinals between Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. Why Alcaraz lost? He is the most powerful player of especially among younger players. He's the most powerful player of today. I believe he will soon again be the number one. But why he did lost? He played every ball as it was the matter of the life. And as a result of that, he got painful spasms. He lost the game because he played every game. Don't play every ball. It means that you are small and medium enterprise, and it means that you have limited resources. Decide, after the research of the public procurement portal and some strategic documents, where will you allocate those resources and which will be the public procurements in which you will invest your time and resources. And it means also something else. Play the ball which you can play effectively and good. Because if you do not implement your contract, your contract very well, as it should be, you can be subject of the negative reference and go on the so-called negative reference and the blacklists. If you do not perform your contract as it should be performed, the contracting authorities in Serbia has right to exclude you from public procurement procedures for the period of 3 years. So if you are bad in one contract, you do not have resources to finish the contract and your obligation because you played every ball, for example. And the contracting authority have legal-based proof that you didn't perform well in that contract. You can be excluded from every. It is not must, it can be, not must. You can be excluded from every public procurement procedure in Serbia for the period of the 3 years. And you do not want that if you're investing your time, money, and the resources to get involved in Serbian market and Serbian public procurement procedures. Connect in a network and hubs like this project. And this is very good for SMEs because you are sharing knowledge, sharing experience, and minimizing your risks and costs. If you do not have your local branch or local partner, please have at least liaison officer, man on the ground, who knows the language and the market culture for the everyday activity, to do proper research on the website, to deal with the contract authorities. It will be, for example, last year, one big company from one of the Central European countries, we have some procedure with them. They didn't have even local branch, not Serbian company in ownership, not even local branch. And we started with communication, and because of 1,000 reasons that the communication was leaving hell from language issues, etc., etc. And then when he found a guy who will be his liaison officers, who knows that language, business culture, who knows the technical rules in that areas, it was much easier for us and for him to finish all necessary preparations for the contract signing. Decide on the form of your presence. Is it just pure company? You will sell something from Madrid. Your company has a headquarters in Madrid. You will just sell equipment and arrivederci. I will be here maybe some times again periodically. You are not interested in the mid-term or long-term performance. It's okay. You can work as a foreign company. You do not have to need anything in Serbia, except please, man or woman on the ground, because of everyday issues. You can be foreign company with local branch of in Serbia. You're still foreign company, but you have local branch, you can office, you have people, and you have account in Serbia. So everyday dealing with everyday business and doing business is much easier, but you're still in the formal way local company. Or you can make your own company in Serbia, new company which will be owned by you. So now we are talking about the Serbian company which is in your ownership. And if you are in long-term presence in Serbia, you will do this. For example, Eptisa from Spain, as I said, as I saw in a register, have the boat. They have local branch in Serbia, but I suppose after they decided about some opportunities, now they have domestic Serbian company, Eptisa Serbia, which is in the ownership of the Eptisa from Spain. And there are thousands of examples like this. You can find local partners which will, as I said, which will work under your umbrella as the part of your business community, OEMs, licensed partners, franchising, etc. And as the shortest and easiest and the fastest way to enter public procurement market in Serbia is to make a consortium, short time consortium, one time, second time, three time consortium with the local companies which exists in Serbia and which have permits and licenses and certifications which are needed for doing substantial business in this area. And of course, if you have positive relations, some of those companies can become, if they want, part of your bigger business community. Examine the legal framework. Technical regulation mandatory standards still can be different than in EU. We are in a harmonization process, but we are still not the member of the EU. So there can be in some areas some differences in the meaning of the technical regulations, and Serbian technical standards can be different. Usually they will not be, but they can be somewhere different than in the EU. Use transparency tools for getting all informations that you need, not just public procurement portal. Serbia has one of the best law on available information of the public importance. So using this law, you can get information, not just the wide range of the information, important information which are in the public procurement. You can get almost everything except the state secrets, formally recognized state secrets, almost everything which you want to know, you can get from the contracting public authorities using this law. Ask answers about their 3 years plans, about information about this, and you can get much more information than they are in the public procurement portal, and there are a lot of information. And based on all those information you can get, you can make solid and good business decisions about what are the opportunities and when you want to allocate your very limited resources. As I said, in the first steps, examine the needs of the largest contracting authorities in your targeted areas, in the meaning that always is a good logic to make at least and small numbers of the steps with the greatest results, and consider the possibility. I'm boring, and whenever I can talk about this, especially in the network like this, projects like this, consider the possibility, and network and project and some other entities can do this, the possibility of PMI index in public procurements. If you do not know what is PMI, nobody in Serbia does this, unfortunately, and that can be exceptionally good for the competition. PMI index of purchase manager index in public procurement is something like Wall Street. Somebody is researching all those annual plans and expectations, and they're saying, after the search is done, they're saying there is the index for the supplying, for the buying of goods of this and this is increasing for the 5% of expectation for buying this and these goods or services is increasing for this and this number of the percents and percent points. It's Wall Street of the public procurements, and it's a great information if statistically is proper done. It's a great information, especially for the small and medium enterprises who have limited resources. Good information to know based on those statistical informations from the PMI index, where to put your money that you have. Ask always questions about tender documentations. Try to propose, I will finish in 2 minutes. Try to propose your solutions to contracting authorities to, okay, if you're a foreign bidder, I want to propose this solution, which will be good for you and for me. Give warnings, appeal, never miss opportunity to ask for changing of the documentation, to put the warning, and appeal whenever you should. When you think that your rights are, that you are discriminated, appeal, because there is a system who is working in Serbia in the favor of the bidders. Almost 3/4 of every bid, of every appeal are decided in the favor of the bidders in Serbia. And for the end, be good in fulfilling your obligation, so that we, contracting authority, wish you next time too. That means if we wish you next time too, there will be no those invisible obstacles which we can put in the tender documentation from our side. There is these last 2 sites. I will beg you to read it carefully. It is not connected with the public procurement. It is something that Celia asked me to put in this presentation. It is about some opportunities currently today in Serbia. Serbia is allocating some money, market premiums for renewable energy sources. So please, it's not small amount of the money. Please read this carefully, and at the end of this slide, you have internet web link to the documentations for the applying for those market premiums. So if this is of your interest, please read it carefully and make your proposal, your bid for this. Thank you for this, and I'm here for the later discussion if it is needed. So Andrea, stage is yours. Or Celia, stage is yours.
Yes, and thank you very, very much, Esteban. Very interesting your presentation. And now we have the pleasure to have with us Mr. Andrea Todoyevski. Sorry for my
Spanish
pronunciation. Director for Southeast Europe of Eptisa, one of the most successful European companies in Serbia in the fields of interest of our project. So thank you very, very much, Andrea, for your generosity and for your cooperation with this project. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Buenos dias. Stevan, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I was just, I joined on the half of it, and from my point of view, it is very useful. And Celia, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to present first Eptisa. and then also to present our experience with the public procurement. If you allow me, I'm going to share the screen now. I think, but somebody has to confirm. Is it okay? Does everybody see it?
Yes.
So,
yes, it's perfect.
think that I need.
It is visible. It's okay.
Yeah. Should I change, because for me it's.
Yeah, you need to change the mode.
Yes.
The presentation mode.
Just a moment. Let me.
Slideshow.
No, because I have two screens. Just a moment. No. Right. No, sorry.
If not, you can present like this, because we can see it's not a big deal.
Okay, just then. Sorry, just let's try once again. No. Okay, so we are going to do like this. Sorry for this, but I will just make it okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Once again, I'm Andrea Todosijevic. I am a regional director of EPTISA for Southeast Europe. I'm with EPTISA for more than 18 years. So I know all the history about EPTISA, how we started and where we are now. So I'm going to give you just a brief about EPTISA, and I'm going now then enter into the market and our experience with the public procurement in Serbia. Well, we are a Spanish company. We are a consulting, information, engineering, technology, institutional, economic, and social development company. So these are the fields where EPTISA is working. And currently our operations are 60% outside of the Spanish language market. 20 years ago, our headquarters in Madrid decided to start business outside of the Spanish language market, and the most appropriate place where we started was Romania. Why in Romania? Because Romania at that time was not in the European Union, and after its accession to the European Union, EPTISA was very good at that mode, because when Romania was not in the European Union, they were using the funds from European Union, pre-accession funds. When they entered to the European Union, immediately a business changed, and only tenders that EPTISA could bid for were the tenders that are financed by local public procurement. Now EPTISA in Spain, EPTISA in Romania is very successful. This pattern is also followed with the establishing of the office in Belgrade, in Serbia, in order to use the accession funds as much as possible. And then when Serbia enters the European Union, we will shift to the public procurement. As Stevan investigated and noticed, we have opened the branch office back in 2005. And already in 2011, we decided to open the local company. So now we have the branch and the limited liability company of EPTISA. During this period of, I would say, 20 years, we have implemented more than 280 projects, and with a total amount of around 260 million euro. These all projects are those financed by European Union and by the development banks, but World Bank, EBRD, etc. In Serbia, we have 30 employees, and we work with around 200 freelancers, suppliers, subcontractors, local companies, and at the moment we have 11 ongoing projects, out of which one is obtained through the public procurement. I'm going to tell you later a bit about our experience with the public procurement, but the most important thing is that during these when we started 20 years before, we could not rely our business on the public procurement tenders. We needed, and we still, to some extent, need tenders that are coming from the EU-financed pre-accession funds. But just recently, we started to bid for the local tenders through public procurement, because we saw that it is time and that we have capacity and that we have to catch the train for this. So I think that this project is set at right moment, and I think that that you as a Spanish company should take into account that you are now at the best time to start dealing with the public procurement process. Just to mention that Eptisa is a local company, succeeded to obtain the big license, as Stevan said. So we have one big license, and it is the big license for design of the highways. At some moment, we felt that we would need this type of the license, so we managed to obtain it. Okay, this is about Eptisa. I'm going now to talk a little bit about opportunities in Serbia, especially in renewable energy, water management, and waste management. I'm going to try to be short. I'm not going to read everything. I'm just wanted to give you impression that there are many investments, and especially there are even bigger infrastructure gap in Serbia. So we need a lot, and money is available and ready. It's just a matter of our capacity to absorb the money. So EU under Serbia is a candidate country for entering European Union, and there are tremendously a lot of investments that are granted by the delegation of European Union. So up to now, especially in renewables, EU invested more than 830 million euro in the past 20 years. There are need for many more. 165 million euro is agreed already to be done through the direct budget support. And all this is done in a way to help Serbia to decarbonize itself and to strengthen the energy sector, especially with the renewable energies. It's very important that these investments will at some moment transfer from the IFIs and EU financed procedures to local public procurement system. This is something that for sure is going to happen, and that's why we in Eptisa are really starting to think about our strategy with the public procurement participation. In the water management is a similar situation. I would say that this is the most expensive sector within the Chapter 27 of the EU approximation process. It is estimated to around 5.9 billion euro of investments need that Serbia will need up to 2040. There are plenty of those documents available. I can share with you some of those. Still, their majority of them is going to be financed through the IFIs and through EU. But again, our perception is that a significant part of that will also go through the public procurement. And again, waste management, again, big infrastructure gap, a lot of money required, a lot of money available for Serbia, and I'm sure that this funding gap can always be bridged by the using all sorts of the procurement, including EU and local public procurement. Clean Serbia. Clean Serbia is the project. I told you at the beginning that we have now ongoing 11 projects under implementation in Serbia. One of them is the one that was awarded to us upon our bidding through the public procurement system. So we were very new in this system. We didn't know anything. So the project was launched end of 2022, yes. We saw it we heard about that, honestly speaking. So we were not even registered in the portal for the public procurement. Somebody told us that there is very interesting opportunity on the portal with a decent amount of money. And in a couple of days, we organized ourselves, we registered there, we registered both. We registered the Eptisa DO, local company, and we also registered Eptisa Servicios de Ingeniería, a Spanish company. So we did it quite urgently, quickly. And then we downloaded all the documents from there. We get familiar with them. We had this luck that majority of our staff here in Belgrade are the Serbian and the people from the region, and they could read very easily all the documentation. However, some part of documentation was also in English, and also we were quickly translating everything to our colleagues in Madrid to get them aware of the project and about the tender procedures. The tender procedures was completely new for us. So we were used to, for these 20 years, on the procedures that are defined by the IFIs, by the banks, and by the EU delegation. And we are very, how to say, capable with those ones. But with this one, we had to be very fast learner, and we succeeded. So it's not something that is not possible to absorb, to understand, and to reply on. So it's just you need to have a desire for this. And we had it because we saw that the budget was 6.8 million euro, and we saw that we fully comply with many of those requirements requested with the tender documentation. And when the time for preparation was given 30 days in very bad timing. So it was, I think it was launched something 27th of November or something like that. So it's just in mid of the New Year's season and everything. So it was quite challenging for us. And then we decided to establish the consortium because we understood that we could not fulfill all those requirements by ourselves. What we could not fulfill were the big licenses. So there were requirement to have several big licenses in the water and wastewater sector, and also there was requirement, if I'm not wrong, for having some license related to the geo investigations, geodetic surveys, and these kind of things. I'm not very familiar with all details. So yes, we decided to form consortium. Consortium was gathered by us because we knew local companies who had these licenses required. And then we decided to offer them participation in our joint tender. Of course, it was easy. They accepted. They were even very happy that we called them because of the budget, because of the size, and because of the things that they could not fulfill, we could. And on the other thing, the things that we could not fulfill, they could. So that was kind of beneficial for all of us. So as you see, Eptisa local company, Eptisa Spanish company, one more local company, and one more company also local that is going to deal with these geotechnical and geodetic investigations. So yes, we started gathering the documents. Well, from my experience, that was very straightforward. The instructions were good. So we knew what we have to obtain, what we have to translate from Spanish to Serbian. So basically out of administration, we needed to present our company's registrations. For Spanish company, we use this mercantile registry of the PTISA, then usual tax and social securities certificates that we paid in Spain and also in Serbia, non-criminal record of our directors. Then we had to submit also financial economic capacity in the terms of audit reports. And I think that that's all in the saying these administration things. Then company license. These are the big licenses. So we used the licenses from our local partners. And then technical capacity. Technical capacity was demanding for the local tender, and that's normal because of the budget. The budget of 6.8 million euro is very big budget for the public procurement procedures. So logically, the requirements in the technical terms, in the terms of the previous experience, were demanding. So they were asking, I don't know, a lot of things like specific work to be done in the last 5 years within the wastewater treatment plants of the defined population equivalent, then the kilometers of the sewage network. Then I think they were asking to be implemented according to specific conditions of contract. So unfortunately, we as the PTISA had it all, and we felt confident that we could fulfill technical capacity. So the technical capacity was fully fulfilled by PTISA, by the Spanish company. Then there was requirement in the terms of the staff capacity. So, and it should be permanent staff to be presented on the tender. I think that the CVs of 15 in-house experts, employees, have to be presented with all the supporting documents, proofs of their experience, diplomas, certification, licensing, if they have everything. You should have it. And this was combination of this requirement was fulfilled through combination of our staff from Madrid, our staff from Belgrade, from local company, and also permanent staff of our local partners. What was the most challenging thing for us, and I would say for many international companies, was to secure the securities, to provide securities. So you have to have, we had to have bid bond immediately before submission of tender. It is, if I'm not wrong, 2% of your offer. And the advance payment was obligatory. And in order to have this advance payment, if you are awarded with the contract, then you would need to have bank guarantee for that advance payment. And it was 10%. And also performance guarantee for the good performance of the work of the 10% of overall project, of overall budget. And for the duration of 60 months. This was the estimated duration of the project. So the bid bond, okay, we provided it. And then those things, advance payment and performance, are coming later if you are awarded. But you have to be ready that in case you are awarded, you have to provide this advance payment and performance, I think, less than in the period of 15 days. Once you sign the contract, upon signature of the contract. You are also uploading there, the most important thing is the breakdown of price, so you price your offer. And also what is good thing, there is a contract, is already, conditions of contract is already there within the tender documentation, which is okay, so you can immediately check it and see the scope of the work, see the not the scope of work, see the terms of the conditions of the contract, see the payment terms, see the insurances that you have to provide, your obligations, etc. So it was very useful. And that's it. So you upload all these documents. I think that Steven probably explained you all this in detail. We decided to have approach to upload immediately all the documents, all the documentation that we have. We submitted it before the deadline, and that's it. You wait, and then I don't know, it was very quickly, 1 hour or something. Turned out that you have the results, and the results were that we were the only bidder. And the results was that our price was accepted. And then you have this period where you have to wait, I guess, for the evaluation committee to review all your documentation, all your everything what you uploaded there. We were requested to clarify something. I don't know exactly what, not to clarify, but to give some additional supporting documentation. They gave us, I don't know, 7 days or something like that. And then we asked kindly, of course, through the portal to have additional few days more. And I think that they gave us additional 7 days. And then we submitted all those documentation. The problem was the translation. So we had to translate it officially from the Spanish. So it took a bit of time. That's why we were requested additional time. And then that's it. So they said us that we are fulfilling all the criteria, that we are awarded with the project that we have, and they scheduled basically the time for signature of the contract in 2 weeks or something like that. We signed the contract, and then we started with obtaining with advance payment and performance payment of 10 and 10%. Which we succeeded to do it, and now we are implementing this project. Sorry, I didn't tell you what was the project about, what was the scope of work. So the project was about supervision of construction of environmental infrastructure in Serbia in the 16 municipalities. So we are a supervisor according to Serbian legislation, and also we are the engineer according to the FIDIC international conditions of contract that are used for the works contract. So we are supervising concretely construction of the sewerage network, and we are going to start to supervise also the construction of the wastewater treatment plants within these 16 municipalities. So we are working, everything is okay, we are paid on time, normal thing like we were doing. So there is no big difference between working for EU as a contracting authority or for the banks and working for the Ministry of Construction in Serbia. So this is our contracting authority, Ministry of Construction. Same procedures, same quality of the work, same everything. So language is Serbian. And also we have obligation to translate everything in English. So it's okay. And this is, how to say, very nice work for us. And we are very positively surprised how this all end up. After 20 years of working only with EU tenders and EU projects, this is something that is new for us, and I think that we catch the right train to start with the public procurement tendering. And I will be just brief, but this is basically all what is Stevan already highlighted and gave you hints. So there is a huge infrastructure gap in Serbia. That means there is going to be a lot of projects. Many of them will go still through EU financing, but many of them will also go to the public procurement. That's normal. You have to know that now the biggest tenders in Serbia are done to the public procurement procedure. There was the supervision of Belgrade Metro that was done through public procurement procedure, and it was I think 40 million euro awarded to the German company. Then you had the supervision of high-speed rail that was from Novi Sad to Borger with Hungary, also done by the public procurement procedures. Also, international company was awarded, and they are implementing. So that's the reason why we started with this public procurement, because the huge infrastructure projects are decided to be done through public procurement. Honestly speaking, when we now look at the portal, we are searching for these studies and designs and supervision works. There are plenty of them. The problem is the budget. We have the policy that we have some threshold where we can bid for, so we are not going for the smaller tenders. As Stevan told you, very nice, it's open market, but use systematic approach. So think about, are you want to go for that tender? Because it can turn out that you are the only bidder and you are awarded with that one, and you really didn't want it to get with that one, and then you have a problem in implementation. So think about, of course, experience of Eptisa is something that is unique, I would say, because we invested a lot. You don't need to invest so much for the startup. Again, as Stevan recommended you, there is one person enough that you can identify somebody who speaks Spanish and English and the local language, and the person should be your ears and eyes on the ground of Serbia, and you will get a lot of information, a lot of help from this, and you can start entering the market step by step. You have to know local companies. Some of them are already here, I think. I saw a few of them, or I'm wrong, sorry. But there are plenty of the local companies who apparently have all these big licenses. So if you need for, I don't know, for the railway, there is few companies who has all the licenses. So you have to team up with them, and you will, with one hit, you will get all the licenses through them. This is what we did. And again, when you have the project and when you started, you have to have strong project management. You can rely on the local people to do the work in Serbia, but you have to have your control, quality control. You have to have project management in place, risk management, financial management, everything, and it's not so demanding. Honestly, it's you even don't need to be present 24/7 in Serbia. So occasional visits are enough. Local companies know to do the work, and you can be reliable with them. So sorry, maybe I did more than 15 minutes, but that's it. Thanks. I'm here for any question. So that's it.
Thank you very, very much, Andrea. I think it's very interesting for our companies to know firsthand your experience in the country. We wish you continued success, and we know you have a lot of work to do in Serbia. So we also hope that we can continue to cooperate with you in this project, and thank you very, very much again.
Thank you, Celia. And one more thing I didn't maybe tell you. So you can distribute my email to all participants. So if there are any question more in detail, any of your participants can write to me or.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm going to put it in our chat. If you have any question, you can use the chat. I see here one question from Christina, our project coordinator. She wants to ask you which was the ponderation criteria for this tender price. We know you were the unique bidder, but maybe yes, price.
Honestly speaking, I think that you have to fulfill these requirements, and then the price is the only thing which decides.
Okay, thank you.
So there is just technical criteria. You have to have, I don't know, 3 wastewater treatment plants in the fast in the last 5 years, and then you present the certificates that you fulfill this, so it is checked, and then you pass. And then when you pass all this, then your only price is what is deciding, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea, for answering this question. I will explain why I asked it. Is because when I'm working in France, so when I'm discussing with some French companies, they are afraid to go international because they say that if in this country the price criteria and ponderation is quite often employed, you know that the human resources here in France are much more expensive than there. So they are afraid to get in competition with lowest prices. And I know that here in France, it's not just the price when you answer to a tender. There is the quality, the environmental aspect. So that is why I was asking the question.
That's a good question, yes. And I completely understand your position. The thing is that you have to choose the tenders that are, how to say, to the level of your company interest. And then you can expect that also international companies are going to bid it, especially because the technical requirements are set much higher, for example. So for this one, none of the local companies could bid for alone for this tender. So the requirements were quite tough. So if you start following portal, then you will get some impression about what is going on there, and you will see very easily, you know, if the requirements are very low and the budget is big, then probably you are going to experience a big discounts. But if the requirements are tough, technical requirements, financial requirements, if are tougher, and the price is and the budget is still big, then you can expect international companies who are not going to give big discounts.
Thank you very much for this,
You're welcome.
insight. It's very interesting. I have another question. I don't know if there are some others in the chat, but for both of you, actually, because, you know, the European Commission is expecting us as a project at one time to support companies, but also to have some insights in terms of future policy making. So from your point of view, if there is some improvement in the Serbian policy making in terms of public procurement to help and to become more internationally friendly, what kind of recommendations would you suggest as a company or as an expert of public procurement? What are the first steps to get it easier and more friendly for international companies?
You mean from the government side, from the
from the public procurement side, local ones.
Well, there is a how to say, big, I will not say quarrel, it's a tough world, but these big licenses, big company license, this is something that that EU doesn't recognize, honestly. So in Spain, you don't have it. You just need to be registered, and that's it. So you can bid. Here, it's this is kind of a thing that is the biggest obstacle for the international companies to bid.
The local licenses.
Yes. So, but this is something that is according to our construction law, and something that I think it will not change for at least until we don't enter the European Union. So this is something that will stay. So, and this has some kind of grounds, and this has, in our view, it's even good thing, because you have to team up with the local companies. As international company, you have to team up. The whole this period of process of entering the European Union is for this purpose. So we have to work with the local in order to make them competitive and to make them, how to say, equipped with the knowledge and to be ready at the time when we as Serbia enter European Union, to be ready to be one equal to any kind of European company. So in that sense, I think it's even a good thing. And as I said, once again, you will get it with local companies, you will get a cheaper price, and you will have very good quality of the whatever work you are doing. So the only thing what you as a international company should do is to have very strong project management and strong quality control, or your standards to be fulfilled, and to respect the contract conditions, because local companies are more for the work, and you should be more for the contract administration and overall management of the project.
Thank you.
I don't know, did I answer to your question? But
yes,
okay.
yes,
okay,
it was great.
yes.
I don't know if Stephen has some other ideas, but that was my question. Yeah.
If you want to stay up to evening, no, midnight, or maybe 2 or 3 days, I have some ideas. Most of the ideas are not connected with the public procurement law itself, because I think that problems that we are dealing in these areas are not caused in the public procurement law. Public procurement law is good. Nothing is perfect, but it is good. But why I want to say we have, for example, problem with the licenses. Problem with the strength of the economy, and there is a big question: does this economy of 6.6 millions of citizens has enough strength to produce enough competitive values to have level of competition which is needed, where the competition can deliver good results? If there are dealings with questions and problems in economy itself, dealings with some other. When we're talking about public procurements, always, especially when we're talking about the media and public, it's cool to talk about anti-corruption. Okay, it's big issue. Economies, effectiveness and competition are the biggest issue in public procurement, because effectiveness, deal with some problem in effective way, solve the problem, give the results, and have competition to have good results in public procurement. Those are the main issues. Good competition will resolve also those corruption problems or perception with. There is much more bigger problem about the perception of corruption than corruption itself. And then again, as an answer, we need competition. I think that resolving some questions which will increase not just EU SMEs, but Serbian SMEs to take a bigger part in Serbian public procurement are needed. So we need to resolve questions which are connected with competition and effectiveness of public procurement, and those will solve some other questions. I have many ideas.
I know that we are running late, but Celia, just to react, do you have an idea about how many percents of from the bidders are SMEs in Serbia? Is there this data?
Most of them are SMEs.
Okay.
I didn't have done any research, but the basic logic tells you most of them are SMEs. Vast majority of them are SMEs.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you very, very much again, all of you, for this webinar, for participating. We want to close right now because we are quite late, and I want to thank you all again, and see you soon, and let's continue cooperating.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And thank you,
Thank you very much.
for organizing the webinar.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.